trust you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. This is Omar Kanda and Alexis Bailey with Unity Tax Partners. And what we're going to do today is introduce you to TaxWise Online. This is, again, the beginner class. So we're going to go through the basics of the software, show you the tips and tricks of how to use it, best practices, show you where to get help and how I find, and we're going to do a few practice returns. We use Zoho Webinar, so feel free to look around on your screen. There is a cool feature in it where you can ask questions, and also there's an emoji section here where you can give me a thumbs up or a question or raise your hand if you want, if there's something sticking out. But I encourage everyone to use the Q&A button. Since we have so many people on here, it's really hard to kind of go to one-on-one. But anyways, I'm going to let Alexis go over some of the basic questions here, some of the basic rules of engagement for this webinar. And I hope everyone can see my screen right now and hear me clearly. If you do, please give me a thumbs up or clap or give me any kind of reaction.
Perfect. Thank you, Omar. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know this is typically a little bit later than we do webinars. So let us know, we'd love feedback if you do like these later sessions or earlier in the day. We definitely want to make sure we're keeping these useful for you guys at a time that you can attend them. As far as housekeeping stuff, any questions you have during the webinar, you're going to have a section on your left-hand side that says Q&A. Feel free to type in questions as we go there. I will be answering them as we go, and then we'll also save some applicable ones for the whole group to answer at the end. We will not be doing live questions, so don't raise your hands. You're going to want to type that in the Q&A. That way we can keep the webinar flowing smoothly. And then if you guys need any further assistance, you always know where to reach us, and we hope you enjoyed this webinar. Thanks, Omar.
Right. So for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off so everyone can focus on the screen. So it's going to be nice and clear. Everyone can see my screen, I'm assuming, because I did get some confirmation and everyone can hear me clearly. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Right now, I'm going to start. The cool thing is the software came out. 2025 is out, so that's where I'll be working on. TaxWise Online, it is fully web-based, and it keeps getting better and better every year. So for all of you new preparers that are joining us today, the easiest way, the way the software works is it's all web-based. So you have a URL that you can go to, that you can type in. As you can see, I'm highlighting it. You can look and see it says TaxWise Online. That 25 signifies the year you're working under. So if you need to go back a year, you would just change that number from 25 to 24 or 23 to 2. You can go back as far as you need to, and it just completely seamless. You have the same login as long as you have a licensed user account, and it's just like you would go in any other year. Now, if you ever get confused, you'll see the year here displayed as it shows the year you're working off of, and everything usually when you log in will be in the dashboard. Now, I'm going to be operating off of the practice scenarios. So I've attached them to this webinar. So if you go to your files, you can download the attached PDF. But I'm going to also show you where you can get all your training tools from TaxWise. On the software, when you log in, you'll see additional resources. So if you see here, we have the billing portal, the remote support, the client portal, and then you have your learning portal, both in English and Spanish. Another shortcut way you can access it is if you go to your web browser and go to support www.taxwise.com and log in with the same exact credentials that you would use to log in to your software. Here, depending on your user access, now depending if you're admin or a preparer, you'll have certain access to certain things on the portal. But when you go here, there's a training section, and you'll go to training, and you have the online training portal for both English and Spanish. And what I do is I go to preparing a return. I click on this, and then let me log in really quickly. You will see this screen when you log in. It has Learn, where it has some other additional training videos, but really where you're going to find the most value here is going to be the practice section. You have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and answer keys. You have 1040s, 1065, 1120s. So definitely take advantage of it. Take advantage of all the resources you have through TaxWise. It's really a great tool to have, especially if you're a manager and you want to train your employees. You have an instant go-to resource to train and get everything you need. Another thing I want to highlight is I'm using Google Chrome. Obviously, if you can see, I'm using a Mac. The software works on any platform, any operating system, so it doesn't matter. But we suggest you use Chrome as your browser. It's just going to give you the best experience. So with that being said, let me just go ahead and just go into the software. So this is a dashboard. We added some new features here, available state and rejected returns, which makes it easier. But the way TaxWise works is it is a form-based input. So the very first thing before you even start your season or start preparing returns is to make sure your settings are correct. And we handle that for your new offices. All the new offices are joining us today. We usually handle that in the onboarding, but it's good as a refresher course for returning offices to keep in mind that your settings are most critical before you start any season, because it will give you quicker access to preparing the return. And where most of that exists in the software is your return templates. So I'm going to go ahead and create a return template to show you how that works. So I'm going to switch here to a demo account. Let me see. Go, and you would go to settings, and you go to return templates. As you can see, I'm going to start fresh from a basic template where I'll show you how to set that up. Now, if you're an employee and you don't have access to this, get with your manager or business owner and make sure they set this up for you, because it is really very critical to preparing a return. It speeds up your process by a lot, by eliminating a lot of redundancy, and you'll see exactly what I mean by doing this. So what I did is I went to templates, and I'm going to create a new template, and I'll name it. Usually you want to name it after the preparer name. It's the easiest way to differentiate, because that way everyone has their own template. As you see, you can set it as a default or build it off an existing template. And what that building off an existing template is, once you create one, and a lot of data will carry forward, so you don't have to key in like the same office info, the same pricing.
Hey, Omar.
Yes.
You're still sharing your support screen, not the software screen, so they can see the return templates.
Oh, I thought I was sharing the whole screen. Let's see. Can you guys see it now? I think so.
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So here, sorry about that. Here's the template. So let me go back for those of you who missed it. So if you go to your settings, you want to go to your return templates. So I'm going to start fresh again. So if you have access to set your own template, you want to make sure you do that before the season starts. And if you don't have access to it, make sure you get with your manager or owner to make sure that they set that up for you. So as you can see, you have templates for both individual, partnership, or escrow. For today's purpose, we're just going to focus on individual. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and type in a template as my name, and I'm going to go ahead and create it. You see you have edit, delete, publish. I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And what the template essentially is, it's a blank return that allows you to pre-fill the information every time you start a new return. And so right now I'm going to go through and set this up. And this is the same exact data that you know you're going to key in at every tax return. So this way, I'm going to go through the main information sheet and set that up right here. You're in a state, make sure you put in your state. Like if you, the abbreviation, the cool thing about the software is you don't have this download the state or not. I'm not going to do a state right now, but I'm going to go ahead and pick bank product and Republic because I know I'm going to mostly do bank product. If you do mostly e-files, you can select that. And I'm going to scroll down here and put in my office information, like a preparer name. And EIN, let's see, make a fake one here for us. And this is everyone's main goal is to make sure that's set up. So I set up the main info. The other main part that I need to set is make sure I'm going to be, like, for example, my ERO PIN. I'm going to set that up in here. I'm going to say I'm going to make sure that this is checked. I can't tell you how many people forget to check this box. This is what makes it a practitioner PIN, which uses the 8879. And I'm going to select this tax return. So now this will add all the relevant forms. If you look at the left side, now I have the 8879. So I'm going to put my EIN here and put in my office information. Make sure, like, and so what this is like, for example, like you're not going to key in the same information. So I'm going to put in a PTIN number here so you don't have to key in every return. And
And while Omar's filling that out, I do just want to remind you guys that the bank modules are actually one of the last things that gets released. So typically those come out January 1st or 2nd, right when pre-acts are starting. So as you're updating your templates, when you go in and you mark Republic Bank and bank applications, you won't see the Republic application automatically generate in your system. And it's just because those forms aren't active yet. So once those do become active, we'll go ahead and send out a communication so you can update accordingly.
yeah. So, but it did generate the bank use and bank disclose forms. But again, those are they're not going to be something you want to add to your template, but it just shows you how you can add them. Another thing you can add to your template is basic forms. Like if you know you're doing a lot of W-2s, I'm going to go ahead and add a W-2 and just have it sitting there. So now every time I do a return, I'll have a W-2 automatically generate. Another very important thing you want to do with your templates is pricing. Because if you're an existing office, you usually carry it forward. If you're a new office, this is where you would set up your office. Now, your pricing. So as you can see, the way the pricing works is it has a number of forms and the price. So you would set the fees. Let's say we're going to put $100 for 1040, and it has pretty much all the forms. And once you set the fees in here, they'll carry forward for every return. So right now, I'm just going to, and when you're done with the template, you just hit save changes, and then you would assign. So now I made a template for me as the practice return, and then I'm going to assign it to a user. So I'm going to assign it to admin for this purpose because I'm working under admin, and I'm going to assign it. I'm going to select the template, my name. So every preparer will have their name here, and then every preparer will have their own template. So you would pick the name and assign it to the preparer. So, and you can assign as many as you want, and then it won't go live until you hit publish. Once you hit publish, it will go live. And the reason we have this is because you might change your templates mid-season or whatever, and it will always take effect going forward. It wouldn't go back and change the existing returns that you've done. So I'm going to hit save and close here. And now I'm going to go back to my tax returns. So I made a fake return here just to show you because I did the template. And when I open this return, you'll see it empty. There's no price sheet. There's no W-2s because this return's already created and it won't create the template from before. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to start a new return. Now I'm going to put, if you have this, the practice returns, go ahead and open up the PDF. If you don't, you can go to the support or just watch along. Sometimes it's just easier to watch along and go back to practice. So can you guys see my practice returns right here? I got scenario 101.
No, we're looking at your software screen.
Okay, it's only showing my window. Screen. Here's what the scenarios look like. So I'm going to work with scenario 101, and that is for a very basic return. We get a W-2 for John Hammond. So if you have the PDF, go ahead and open it so you can follow along. And I'm going to share my screen for the software. Okay. For this practice scenario, let me see if I can check and see if I show my entire screen. I think this should show you guys my entire screen. All right. So I have practice return 101. So what we're going to do in this scenario, we're going to select the correct filing status, enter W-2 information correctly, complete e-file setup and refund preference. The taxpayer name is John Hammonds. There's his demographics and the rest of the information you'll see here. So what I'll do is I'll click on new return and let's put in his information. Now, the way that practice returns work, it says 101. You can just put in the 101. And when you see X's, you just make up the rest of the number. One, two, three, four, five, six. Right? So make sure, and it does make you double check the social. So obviously, I just made a good scenario there how you can double check it. So you can see now when I start a new return, it does have the price sheet included. It does have all the information that I added. So with TaxWise Online, you want to make sure you get rid of the red. So those, once you start typing, it's very dynamic and it starts to carry forward. So whenever you do any return in TaxWise, it's always going to start with the main info screen. Everything begins, I say, and ends in the main info screen. And what that means is like you're going to put in their demographic, their name, like whatever you put in here is going to carry forward into the return before you even start preparing. So let's go ahead and key in this taxpayer's information. I'm going to put in name John. I use tab to go from one field to another. And you can use a number of different shortcut keys. I highly recommend you use the download, have a printout of the shortcut keys, for example, because when you have big forms and you don't want to just kind of hit tab for stuff that you don't need, you can use the button Control E. And what the Control E does, it takes you directly to the next button, the next required field to fill out, which is what's in red. And again, those reds change depending on the scenarios that you're working with. And I'll encourage you to test it out as you practice. So I'm pretty much just carrying over the information here, what I'm seeing on the return, which you would do in every return. Date of birth is September 78, and his occupation is bookkeeper. It's going to ask you all these questions every single time, and you can even set them up in a template if you know you're not going to get a lot of them. Like, for example, if you're not going to do a lot of Puerto Rico returns, you can make sure that's always checked no. This address change, I'm going to say no. Was the taxpayers, and this is new for 2025. Was the taxpayer's main home spouse filing joint for more than half of 25? I'm going to say yes. Did the taxpayer dependent insurance? Did they have health insurance? We don't see that they do. I'm going to say no. If you would have checked yes, it will generate that formula, and we'll do a scenario coming up with that. And it'll also ask you for cryptocurrency information. Now, John is single. Select single. There's no dependents or married. You can see it has a dependents information here. And I'm going to skip the state part. Now let's see if it gave us. No routing and account. And as you can see, a lot of this was filled out for me. I'm going to create a PIN for him. Is 10001. And I'm click I authorize, and it will generate your company name here, and put the date. And this is where you would put in a driver license. For the scenario, we don't have one, but if you do it, you would just put in does not have it or have it, and you'll put in. Obviously, if you do a bank app, you would need to have a driver license. So with that being said, I'm done with this main info sheet. Now I need to go and start preparing the return. This person has a W-2, so you can just click on the plus right here, and you can type in W-2 and add the W-2. Because it's form-based, I want to show you different ways you can add in the software different forms. I don't encourage it all the time unless it's a form you're not comfortable with or you haven't used before. But as you can see, I have a 1040 here. Now, if you're familiar with a 1040, W-2s usually go on box 1. Now, if I go here and click the plus button or F9, F9 is the shortcut key to link it, you can go to the W-2, or if I click new, this is all the forms that can go on that specific line. So I'm going to go to the W-2 here, or I can just jump around in the form tree like this. So the address is the same. Here, 01, Gloria D, then 1, and then I'll make this 2, 3, 8. Oh, wait. In case I've done this return before, it generates it. Now, if it doesn't have it in the database, it will not generate it. So if I change this number here to not make it generate, you would just have to key it in. So in red, I would just key it in. And it looks exactly like a W-2. It does the automatic calculation. Now you can just verify that these numbers are correct, which they are. And then I would go here, there's a line 12, BP, and then 8315.34. And let's see here. It does tell you, you see how it's still in red because I'm still missing this one critical thing. If I click it here, now it's green. And an idea in TaxWise online or just TaxWise in general, you just want to make sure that you get rid of the red. And I got rid of the red means the form, when you see a check mark here, it tells you that the form is complete, it's calculated, it's complete, not really and calculated into the 1040. Still quite a bit of red we have to get rid of, but let's continue here. So this person only had a single W-2. So let's go back and see what we're missing. It's telling us there is something on page 2 that we need to fill out. And you can see here your refund. He's getting a $14.49 refund. And the reason it's in red is because it's missing the direct deposit information. Obviously, you want to make sure you put that in. So we can say yes, and you can key in the information here for direct deposit. So the cool thing about the software is it does recognize if you don't have a correct routing or account number. So you want to make sure that you put in the proper account and routing number. But once you're done with the return, let's see if it gives us that. It doesn't give us that. So this return is pretty much done. It's a very basic return. I went ahead and did it. What I usually do is I go to the vault and I upload the W-2, and I encourage everyone to do that. And once you hit diagnostic, it will go and tell you what's wrong with the return. So in this return, we are missing the direct deposit and the PTIN information to sign the return. So that's, the EIN is in here, the PTIN is in here, and it's probably recognizing it as a fake PTIN. So I'm going to click here, go from there. So this is kind of like the way I'm showing you just a high level overview on how you can just input the data into the return. And for this return, it's very basic. You want to put in all that information. You can put client notes and run diagnostic if you need to. Once the return is done, you run the diagnostic. If everything looks good, now it's just telling me that my direct deposit is missing. You put that in there, it will go through and you can submit the return via e-file. So very basic scenario. You can save and close, and now you can see it here on your main screen. So I'm going to go to the next scenario now, and this is for Mr. James Grant. For this scenario, we're going to determine the correct filing status, enter W-2 information, enter interest income, determine if they qualify for education credit, report health coverage, and then complete the e-file setup and refund preference. So let's go ahead and start another new return. Right, 102, 102. This one easy. You always have the option to go to interview or tax form. Today, we're just focusing on tax forms. And then again, I'm going to go in here and just start keying in the data. If you guys have two monitors, I highly encourage using them. It makes it a lot easier for the software. Obviously, you're not going to be going off the screen, but sometimes your client sends you paperwork that you can just put in directly through this way, like how I'm working. Landscaper. You can see it hasn't changed. And see, this is the question that's going to take into effect here, because he did health coverage, so we want to make sure we select it. Now, when I clicked yes, if you look to your left side, it added the 8962 form for the premium tax credit. We don't have any mention of Bitcoin or any kind of cryptocurrency. They are, let's see, James, it appears that James is single, dependents, or married. Just no married, has no children. In addition, his job has interest income. So let's go here, single. We will skip the state. We will select e-file only for this return since our bank forms are not available yet. All the 8879 forms have been filled out. And let's pick his PIN, 10001. And today's date. It's going to always force you to put the date. And make you authorize. If you want to discuss this return with the IRS, I'm going to say no. And this one, verified the PTIN is correct. So if you can see now, the main info is checked as green. So the idea is, again, to get rid of all the red. So let's go ahead and start preparing. We have a W-2 here. Click plus, W-2. Key it in exactly as you see it on the form. Numbers here. You guys are wondering why so much is happening in Rome, Georgia, that's where TaxWise was founded. Right outside of Atlanta. So all this matches up. Now, if it doesn't match up, I just want to show you, that's kind of like an offshoot here. You can always check to take off the calculations, and then you can type in the numbers here that you want. So sometimes the W-2s, if they have retirement plans and things like that, you can just check to take off the auto calculation. So now my W-2 is in green. I am done with it. Now we have to do another form, which is the interest income. Those of you who are familiar with the interest income, it usually goes on a Schedule B. So I'm going to just jump into Schedule B, interest and ordinary income. TaxWise does not force you to use the exact forms for forms that are not necessarily calculating towards the IRS. So, and what that means, it allows you just to key in the numbers directly without having to put in the EIN and all that other information. So for example, for this one, I'm just going to put here other interest. I'm going to jump in and Schedule B that I added. I'm going to go to line B and type in Cherokee Bank and just put in the interest amount. It's that easy. I'm done with the form now. So I added the interest income. Now what we have here in this return is the 1098-T, which is a big popular form that everyone's familiar with. And where does this form go? I would click the plus. 8863 is the education credit. Now I do memorize it. Now, if you don't memorize the forms, TaxWise gives you the option of just typing in keywords. So if I type in education, it would help if I spell it right. It would also give you the options here for different education. So what you do is you click in the 8863, put in the form, and key in the information. So for this one, it's exactly like what you would see on the 1098-T. Now, this is where it's kind of different with TaxWise. I know some other softwares do it differently, but what you want to do is just add the form and then just fill out what's in red. So what is it asking me for is a student name on the form, and it's typing in. And then his social is 02. Put the education name. address. Put in the zip code. It will generate the rest. Did they receive 1098 from this institution? I'm going to say yes. Did they receive 1090 from institution with box 7 checked? Let's take a look. Is box 7 checked? It is not over here, so I'm going to say no. Enter the institution at EIN you're claiming opportunity credit for. You check yes onto your throat. So let's put in the institution. I'm just going to put 0 or something. And then it goes through the due diligence questions. Let's see, what year in college was James in? He has not previously claimed it, so it's not completed the first 4 years. So I'm going to say no. Let's say he was enrolled half-time. And no criminal. So these are the questions that you would ask every taxpayer that I'm sure many of you who came from other software companies know where that goes. Now let's see what his tuition was. It was 400 and no, that's not his tuition. That's his interest income. Tuition was 6425.1. And you can see here, if you look to your left side, we do have quite a bit of it. So now, if you can see, we need to go to the next form. Now we do have the healthcare section. We would go to 8962, the premium tax credit. And it's pretty simple. I mean, you just got to kind of follow the red. If it's in Alaska, Hawaii, I'm going to say the other 48 states. Am I allocating? I'm going to say no. And then we're going to say, now some people have different amounts for different months. And this is where this comes into play. If it's the same amount, you just, you click yes, and you just type in the annual totals. If you click no, it will force you to put each month because it could vary from month to month. But in this case, it's all the same. I'm going to go here and just put in the totals. See 5,160. 4,076 and 2500. Look to your left here in your form tree. Everything is in green. That means this form is complete. So at this point, I've completed the W-2. I put in the interest form. I put in the 1095A, which is the premium tax credit, and I put in the education credit. Now the idea is to go through and find out what's in red and clear it out. So let's go to the education credit. If you claim opportunity in 2014 reduced or disallowed, I'm going to say no. And now it's clean. It's going to always force you to ask if the credit was disallowed or not. So make sure you answer that. Now I'm going to go to the 8867. And what is the 8867? It's our favorite form. And that is our favorite due diligence forms that we have to fill out for every client. And so I'm going to go ahead and work it with you. And I'm sure if you're familiar with it, just go ahead and follow along. Satisfy requirement and taxpayers third party. And show definition. Did you ask tax what you provide? Yes. And then I'm going to say no. They provide me a 1098T, and I'm going to say yes. And so now it's complete. You can see the refund monitor going up here. That's your refund, his current refund. Now it's going to go back to page 2 in the 1040, and this is going to have to say something about direct deposit. This is the easiest part. You would have their direct deposit information, and you can just key it in directly into the software here, and that would carry it over. Usually, you would just have to run diagnostic, and again, so this is a good example here. So where did I make the mistake? Now for American Opportunity Credit, the maximum is 4,000, so it catches it for you. What I'm going to do is click on the red, and any amount over the 4,000 is not going to count. So you need to make sure that you max it out at 4,000. Now, if I hit diagnostic and run it again, now there's no diagnostic error. The only thing, it just gives you a warning that there's no direct deposit information. Now, if you do an e-file only return and you do not put the direct deposit information, then and e-file it, it's just going to mail them the check, which is, I believe, that's changing this year. IRS, they're going to force us all to do direct deposit. So this return is pretty much, it's complete. It's done. Now you can look at the return summary. You can see here income information. His income overview was 20. Earned income is 20,000. Taxable income is 5,000. Paid 3,000. AGI is 20, and tax withheld 1,800. They're getting a $5,000 refund. Another return where I did the interest, the education credit, and the healthcare information. So I'm going to go ahead, save and close. If the client's in front of you, you can always have them sign it, print the return, or go to e-signature. I'm going to do an example of that in the next scenario. So let's go to scenario 3. Scenario 3, and they progressively start becoming more difficult. I know they're kind of boring, and we're only focusing on beginner scenarios this training session. The next one, we're going to do more intermediate scenarios, and I'd like to hear some feedback. If there's something specific you want to see, we can definitely accommodate that and help clarify some of that. This scenario 3, we're going to learn how to do a W-2 information correctly, interest, income, determine if you qualify for education credit, prepare 2441 dependent care expenses, file schedule EIC, and complete e-file setup and return preferences. And I want to apologize to everybody. It's so early right now. Like, e-filing is not available, so we don't have the ability to show you the e-file process. But we will make videos and we will show you how you can complete the rest of the stuff as soon as modules become available, especially, most importantly, the bank modules. So let's go ahead and start this return, and we'll follow along and answer questions as they come up. This is both taxpayers have W-2s and interest income. Karen attended college, and it looks like it's a married filing joint return. It's a spouse and a taxpayer and a dependent. And the spouse attended college. They have daycare expenses and a lot of stuff that pretty typical tax return, I would say. This is one like you guys will see in your offices. So this might be very helpful for those of you who are just getting started with Tax Laws Online. So let's go ahead and create this return 103, and his lucky numbers are going to be 7s. Again, same exact process. We start main info and end in main info. Richard generated their social, and Karen Johnson. Address is 38. And see, as you can see, the spouse information. I'm going to put it in here. By the way, I made the evening phone number required. You can make some of these fields you can make required in the templates. And it's usually done, I believe, by pressing one of the shortcut keys. I believe it's F8 or F9. And you can make anything you want required. So if you want to make sure you capture emails or phone numbers or whatever, you make sure those of you who are using the audit protection product, Unity Tax Shield, make sure you set up the email as a required field. Age, let's go ahead and put in their date of birth, 4/13/1987, and then 06/06/1988. Taxpayer occupation is retail, and she is a cashier. Cannot spell tonight. Same exact questions. Do they have health coverage? Let's see. Doesn't appear that they did. So we're going to say no on the healthcare. We're going to say no on cryptocurrency. Let's go back here. They are marriage filing joint. This is now this is the first one we're going to do with the dependent. Let's go ahead and enter the dependent. And he is their son. Months in home. Well, it gives you a drop down. They lived with you. Skip the state, make it e-file only for this practice, so we can get rid of the red. And let's put in their pins. There's the pins here. 10003. The date is 12/11/2025. So many days left in 25. And 2001. Rise. I'm just going to show you what it looks like if they have a state ID. If like they did provide it, you would just hit this and then put in their ID information, like we're in Florida, put in the number, put in the issue date, 1/01/2025. And then you would put the state, just like that. If they provided it or did not provide it, this is where you have that. Say we're not discussing this with the IRS. And now again, this is green. Let's go back to the next form. This W-2, let's go ahead and add a W-2. A lot of redundancies here, I know, but maybe we do that on every return. Now, when they're married, do you see at the top here where it has where you select the spouse or taxpayer? You want to make sure you select it. If you select the spouse, it will change the name to the spouse or the taxpayer. Right now, I'm doing it for Richard, so I'm going to select taxpayer. Select this the correct address, 38 on the road, and let me put in the EIN. Road 35566. You rent. Nine 641-216. Let's confirm the numbers. 29641. As you can see, the software rounds up. It will not show you the decimal places. And everything looks good here. I do have a code of DD here. I'm going to put in. Yeah, should do it. It will always ask you to verify the withholding because you always want to double check. This is most crucial for most returns. Now, once I check this, look to your left, the checkbox in green. Some of those forms I know you can see that are blank white forms, that just means they're not calculated in the return. You can have as many forms as you want. That doesn't mean they're going to be attached to that return. All right. And now we just did Richard. Now, what do I need to, now, if I want to add another W-2, I can, as you can see, I can do it the same way, W-2 here, or I can go here on the W-2 and click the plus, creates another W-2. So it does give you the abilities. Like, for example, if you have a lot of the same forms, you just click the plus. It's another way for you to add them. This one is going to be for Karen. So I would have to select the spouse, correct address, EIN. Double check the input, calculated correctly. There's no other forms on this one. Scroll up, make sure you confirmed it, which exactly what I just did, and just double checked it, and now it's in. Now I just continue. What I do is I keep keying the forms that I have. Now we have an interest form. You guys remember how I did the interest form? Click plus, Schedule B. Scroll down to other interest, and it's just like that. SunTrust Bank, 245.71. You don't have to put in EINs. You don't have to do anything. Just put in the interest that fast. Now it's complete. And let's go to another form. Click plus. You need to do the education. Now the education, I memorize it as 8863. If you're not familiar with it, or you don't know, you can type in education, and there it is, 8863. Click the plus, put in the information. Student's name, this is for Karen. So you can see Richard and Karen Johnson. I'm going to put in for Karen. Karen Johnson. And then her social is 403. And then her social as 888-777. Just like the form again. You can receive the 1098 from institution. Do we have box 7 checked? We do not. And I need to put in the EIN. Let's go back and double check the input because I don't remember what her situation is. She attended college all year and wants to see if she's eligible for education. This is her second year in college. She paid $150 to the school as a condition of her enrollment. She also spent $325 on books. So you have more expenses here that are need to take into account for this educational credit. So we're gonna say it doesn't tell us if she took the whole credit, so I'm gonna say no here and enrolled half the time. They did not complete the first 4 years, and they did not have any criminal record or anything. Now let's take a look at her. So she had 2,100 plus the books and the school. Two different ways you can do this. You can pull out a calculator, and I can show you right here. Let's add 325 plus 150 plus it's 25, 75, 45. Now, if you don't want to do the calculator, I also have a feature here. You can click the plus sign. The way the software works, you can push F9 on your keyboard, which will bring up the link screen, or you can push the X arrow. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to do a scratch pad. And what this will tell me, this is the easy way to break it down. So I can put tuition. Tuition is 2,100, 145, and then I can list them as different line items. If you want to be extra specific, it's not required, but you can do it this way. So you can put books. Sometimes it's helpful if they have a lot of expenses, and enrollment, which is 150. If I go back to the form, it will add them all up, just like I added them up on the calculator. So 2575, form is complete. There's no other input that's required for education credit. So different ways you can use the software, whatever makes you comfortable. I tend to use the scratch pad when I have a list of items and there's no point in calculating them. I can be more organized. If they come back and ask me questions, I'll have them all filled out correctly in there. And this should do it. Now, I did input, I believe, everything that's on this return. So what I need to do now is go back into the software and clear out the red. And the red here is pretty simple. I'm going to say it wasn't denied. And then just like everything else, if you have a credit on the return, you're going to have to do the due diligence. Part 1 will tell you what it's affecting. This is going to be American Opportunity Credit and Child Tax Credit. So since they're getting both, you need to make sure you answer all the questions correctly on the due diligence screen. And these are the same exact questions we're all accustomed to. I don't know how you all answer those, but I should put in we do have the required documents, and we verify that everything's correct. So again, you're going to have the direct deposit information. Oh, in this scenario, they did provide us that, which is great because we can go ahead and put that in. So let's go to the direct deposit. The direct deposit will go both on the main info sheet and on the 1040. And the reason we do that is to confirm that is accurate information. The routing number. Oh, sorry, that's the account number. They had it backwards. So I put it in here and then I'll go back in here and put the accounting and routing number. So routing number is 2000690 and 5789652. Checking. You want it to go in the bank account. You see how the red kind of just pops up as I go? Now everything is in green. We're right now looking at a refund. We're at 4,332. I do believe that we still need to do the child care credit. So let's see what their child care credit. Okay, so here's the information on the child credit. So what do? We can go directly into the plus here. Type in. Do you see how I started to type in dependent care? I know this dependent care or child. If you type in child, It also comes up here, or you can type in 2441, 41, not 42, right here, and I'm going to add the form. Different ways to do the same thing. Now let's go ahead and put in the care provider name. It is Bright Stars Daycare. 28 Morgan. Side, one word. Side Lane. That is in Center, Alabama, 25960. They do have an EIN, and I'm going to put 243. And we're going to put 223, make up a number. What is it? Household employee. And what is the amount paid? It is $25.40. Done. Nothing else to do. Is complete. They do not qualify for it because it was just not enough in here. So that this grabs it into you for you in the software. Now, if I hit diagnostic, everything, it says you appears to qualify for EIC, but we did not select EIC. This is very critical. Now, you could select EIC in the main info. So when I put in the dependent information, do you see how it has dependent care credit automatically checked? That's because I added the dependent care. If I click on EIC here, it will make me fill out the information for the child. So make sure if you can always add this in your forms to automatically have it filled out. So once you have it filled out, it'll start calculating the form. So this was a great way for me to show you an idea if you did forget to mark that box, because it tells you, hey, this person qualifies for EIC, but you did not check the EIC box. So if I click it, I did miss putting in the dependent. It's going to ask you for their date of birth. So let's go see what is the dependent's date of birth. November 2nd, 2015. Now we go back and fill out the rest. So if you did not miss it in the beginning, you would have already filled it out on the red. So now, once I added this, now we have more input to put in. EIC worksheet. See, the software automatically smart enough to tell you, hey, you need to add more, you need to fill out more information you're missing. And so let's do the EIC worksheet. The stuff that's filled, the stuff that's not required, you don't have to check. What's in red is what you have to answer. So your eyes just kind of follow where it needs to go. So click yes. The text corresponds as well. Let me say no. Yes, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with these questions. We answer them 100 million times. Answered all the red. On the left, green is correct. 8812. Again, was the credit disallowed? You say no. Most of the time, I'm assuming. If you say yes, you will have to fill out the proper form. And now, going back to 8867, just to show you, we had child tax credit and parent contributory earned income credit. I'm going to select the earned income credit and select the proper questions here. Have you determined eligible for EIC? And say yes. Did the taxpayer after a year say yes? Yes, you shall. Say no. Okay, we're here. Questions done. Now the refund is 9,000. Look at the refund summary. There's your income. It tells you your EIC, all the credits, and the refund due. Pretty good refund for this year. Hit diagnostic. Let's see if it gives me any information. Oh, I missed the question. The 8867. Let's see what I missed. Should be in red. Oh, there we go. We determined eligible person. Yes. Yes. And that should do it. Let's check diagnostic. No issues, no overridden entries, everything's correct. As you can see, its return is complete and good to go. You can add forms here. You can run e-signatures if you want them to sign electronically. I highly recommend using e-signatures. We're provided free for all our partners. We also, you can put client notes. Everything is available here. Once you're done, you can submit this return. So for this will complete the practice return preparation for the beginner scenarios. I encourage you all to go through the rest of these scenarios. Go ahead and complete them. There should be, I believe, 10 scenarios in each section. So I attached it to the webinar, so you can download the form if you want to look at it. And if you have any questions, you have between now and tax season, and even that, we're here to support you and help you answer whatever questions you have on the software. So feel free to use these as a good training tools. They're fake information, really good, useful way to get introduced to the software. At this point, let me see if there's any questions or anything you want to see. For the sake of time, I'm willing to spend a few more minutes to go over some of these questions that you might have, or show you something that I maybe missed, or if you have any input.
All right, and while we wait for any of those final questions to come in, I do want to go ahead and take a moment and thank you, Omar, for taking the time tonight to show us this. You know, I know there's been several refreshers that have been great for me, and we have had really great questions come in throughout the webinar that I've been able to ask and answer. One of the big questions I've had a lot of throughout your presentation is, where can they go back to review this? We post everything to our YouTube channel, typically about 24 hours after our webinars. So if you're not familiar with our YouTube channel, it's a great resource for you in your office. You can access it by going to youtube.com and typing in Unity Tax Partners, and that will pull up our direct channel. Let's see what other great group questions we have. Omar, can you go ahead and remind them one more time and show them where they access the practice returns as well as the corresponding answer guide?
Where they can get the practice returns and the answer guide?
Correct.
So the easiest way to get there is to go to support.taxwise.com. I'm going to swipe over here, and this is where you would go. This is when you log into it. You can go to training, go to learning portal. Definitely go through everything here. But where you want to do is go to preparing a return. It's going to make you log in. Let me go ahead and log in. Right. See. All right. So once you log in, you can go to practice. So let me just go back to home just to show you. You go here, go to training, go to portal. It's available both in English and Spanish. You can go preparing a return and then go to practice. There's some good learning videos as well. And you have the 1040, 1065, 1120. You have beginner, intermediate, advanced, and the answer key. So I worked off of the beginner, and all of these are updated for 2025, as well as the answer key. So you can download them all. Once you download them, you'll be able to, click here. It tells you actually what year it's for. It's kind of weird how it looks, but you click the attachment, and there it is right here. Click the answer key. It will download it to your computer. And then you open it, and there's where you'll see the answer key shows you taxable income, return, refund, and all the answer, balance, or refund due. So definitely use it. It's a great learning tool for you to get your information, which I believe I covered in the beginning, but I definitely think that it is where you want to start for everyone's getting into the software. Idea of the software is for fast input. And I know maybe some of you are coming from different softwares that are more basic where you forces you to put every return. It is a bit of a learning curve. Will help you get over it, but trust me, you're going to like it more because it will speed up your process. As you can see, I've done 3 returns while talking and explaining, and it went pretty quickly. It'll be no time for you all to kind of jump in and get comfortable with it. Don't forget, we have our support available. The other thing I'm noticing is, and I saw this question that came up from a few people, is maybe it's just like you're having trouble seeing it. Maybe it's too small, or the software is completely customizable. So keep in mind, it's like a web browser. It's like, so you can zoom in. So if you know the shortcut keys in any web browser, if you hit Control Plus, you can zoom in. So for example, I'm hitting it now. I can zoom in, zoom out. If you zoom in too much, it might look kind of weird, but you can go like, there's my full screen. I didn't have it on full screen because I wanted to show you the split screen, so you can see both my practice return and what I'm doing on the screen. So look, as you can see, you can change this here if you just want to look here and avoid the form tree. So it's all very customizable. And zoom in, zoom out. So you can make it to your own preference, whatever makes you comfortable. It also makes the resolution. I have a huge monitor, so it makes it look like it's smaller, but your results will vary depending on your setup. So don't let that intimidate you. And if you have troubles, you can always call support again. We'll help you make sure it's modified the way you want it. But it shouldn't be any different than browsing any website.
Perfect. And then another question we did get, are the notes sent along with the returns when you file it?
No, they don't get sent. Client, are you talking about client notes?
It just says notes on here. So I think that's an important differentiation, what gets sent versus what doesn't. So, client notes would not be sent. However, when you're filling out your due diligence, those notes that you're putting on there do get transmitted.
And the client, let me show you an example of client notes because that's a really good question. Let's say, maybe James not the best example. Let's go to last one we did. Add a couple. So let's say I want to add a client note. Let's add a note. They have another child they forgot. We need to input. So for example, this is a funny scenario, obviously, but here I'm going to hit save. Now the note is saved. So if I click here, you can see it. It puts a date stamp and everything. If they needed a like I forgot the 1098T and whatever, you can put it in here. Now what's cool is like if you're looking at the return, you can always click the note here and kind of hover over it before you even open a return. Because sometimes they'll call you on the phone. You don't need to open it. Just click that. You can read the notes. You can print them out. Do whatever you need to. There are some situations where the IRS requires some forms to be filled out for notes, and you can fill them. Once you fill them out, those will get sent off to the IRS, but those are very limited depending on the situation. But no, client notes, I'm assuming most people are talking about direct client notes, and that's where it happens.
Awesome. I think the only other questions that we haven't really hit on are actually going to tie into an up and coming webinar we have. We have had a couple questions about using e-signature. I think I've seen a couple about Volt as well. We are going to have a separate webinar solely focused on just those included products that you have in your office. So your paperless storage, e-signature, mobile app, which would be a great one to attend and get more in-depth information on that. That webinar is going to be next Thursday, December 18th at 2 p.m. If you have not registered for that already, you should have it in your email. Additionally, we do have several other webinars coming up next week. On Monday, December 15th, we're going to have one solely focused on the mobile app. On Wednesday at 6 p.m., we're going to go ahead and start the intermediate return training with Omar. And then we will also have one on Friday talking about the Unity Tax Shield program. So those are all going to be great learning tools for you guys as you continue gearing up for this upcoming season.
Highly recommend. Yeah. So a lot of good questions on this what I did today is just kind of show you strictly tax prep input, different styles of input, showing you how I just kind of jump around and input different things. Specific features and in the software like the mobile app, e-signatures, we're going to cover that in depth through their own webinars. Highly recommend you join those. I know a lot of people are not taking full advantage of the mobile app. It's gotten a lot of improvements, and definitely check it out. As well as if you're interested in Texcellent, that's another option you have there. The other thing I want to mention is Unity Tax Shield, previously known as Audit Shield. We had tremendous success with Audit Shield, and I'm really excited about Unity Tax Shield. We've made some huge improvements to it. That is, I believe, towards the end of this month. Definitely, I know Alexis gave you the date. Definitely join that. We are introducing an a la carte product this year. So in the past, we had it where it was just covering all your returns that you e-filed. Now it is available for you per return. So as you can see in the new software, you can add Unity Tax Shield. So any customer that you get, you can sell them an audit protection product. You can upcharge it. You can get rebates on it. Really great way to generate additional benefits to your revenue to your office while protecting your clients. So definitely join that. And if you're interested about it in the meantime, give us a call. Are there any other questions, Alexis, that you see?
Nope, I think that ends it. Omar, down real quick, while we were doing this webinar, I did upload the TaxWise online shortcut key. So if you click down below, you should be able to share that file with them. That way they've got something to reference back for those different shortcuts as well.
There we go. I went ahead and shared it. If you can see it, there it is. Print that out, hand it to all your preparers. Makes their life much easier.
And if you guys do need additional copies or for whatever reason it's not downloading, feel free to send an email over to support@Unity Tax Partners, and I will go ahead and share that out as well. But other than that, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week for the intermediate returns.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, actually. Thanks, Alexis.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everyone.
Great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.